Glass. Formation of trees, branches, bluish glow, yellowish glow, etc., etc.
Forgot, sir.
Yes,
No,
you
sir.
no sir means you don't remember or what?
No, no. I remember, but I have means I have not studied again, so don't.
No, no, no. I didn't send you the note also, so it is not possible. I understand. Anyway, if you remember in here, the when failure of solid insulating materials take place in the same way, that is formation of these branches and trees, etc., etc. That is in the similar manner as in the case of gliding discharge. Then the mechanism is referred to as uh, streamer breakdown. Next, what we shall discuss is thermal breakdown. Now, this is another way, but as we discussed in the beginning, thermal breakdown also takes longer time for failure of a solid dielectric material. And as it is mentioned that when AC and DC long duration voltages are applied, conduction current present due to impurities and structural defects may produce enough heat which might break down the molecular chain leading to breakdown of the material. The power absorbed due to this application, due to DC application, we shall discuss. The basic thing is this: in spite of our best effort, we cannot make perfect insulating material due to some impurities and structural defects. Sometimes maybe not very high, but some low conduction currents are present in majority of the cases. And due to existence of these low conduction currents, heating up of the dielectric material occurs, and that may lead to failure due to failure of the molecular chains or breakdown of breaking of the molecular chains. But since the magnitude of the current is low, the time taken for the or the time involved for the breakdown of a material for due to this thermal breakdown procedure is much higher or much longer. Now, the power absorbed due to DC application can be expressed like this: P is equal to V square by R, etc., etc. That is V square AL by rho L by L square. Now, power per unit volume will be equal to V square by rho V by L whole square by rho. And V by L is, as we know, it is E electric field E square by rho watts per centimeter square, where rho is the resistivity in ohm centimeter. In the case of AC, the power absorbed is much more than DC due to the movements of dipole, which in turn depends on the frequency of the applied voltage. I think this point you understand or not. This sentence, why in the case of AC the power absorbed will be higher, much higher than DC.
Yes, sir. Because the dipoles will move again and again.
Pardon, pardon.
Because of the movement in the dipole, sir.
Yes, right.
Because
And that
frequency.
yes, that type movement of the dipoles depends on the frequency. The more will be the frequency, the more will be the movements, and also the power associated power involvement will be higher in the case of AC. The power consumed may be expressed in the case of AC like this. Let this be P is equal to VI sine delta. Let this is the diagram. This is V, this is I, this is the phase angle, and this is the IC. What is IC? As it is mentioned over here, I cos delta is, let it be IC. Now Pi is equal to Vi sine delta, that is Vic tan delta, which can then be expressed like this. From here, do you understand this expression? I
Yes, sir.
think so. Here, power per unit volume, if you uh, divide this P by this small v, you will get this. Again, V by D is E square omega epsilon 0 epsilon r tan delta. This is the final expression, right? And you see, as it is, as we have discussed by this time, that it involves omega, which is the angular frequency. So the absorption of power is dependent upon the applied frequency of the voltage. Now, therefore, as the breakdown depends on the power consumed, it is not only dependent on E, but also on F and epsilon R. That is the applied frequency and the relative permittivity of the solid dielectric medium. The breakdown possibility is more in AC than in DC because the power involved is much more. The quantitatively thermal breakdown can be explained by the following curves. Let us discuss this. Now, these curves, I is it visible? Can you can you see the diagram well and understand this well? Everything is
Yes, sir, it's visible.
visible. So these are the heat gain curves. These two, and this line, this is the heat lost. Now, so these curves, this curve is drawn for a stress of F2 and this curve is drawn for a stress of F1. Now this at this point of intersection of the curve, this curve and the heat loss curve is TA and here it is TB. These are the two temperatures. X-axis plots the temperature or shows the variation in temperature and y-axis is heat lost or heat gained by the insulator. Now, at a stress F1, the heat absorbed by the dielectric material is shown by the curve CF1 and the straight line denotes the heat loss. Now, from the curves, it is seen that for curve F1, a stable condition can reach at TA and TB, and any temperature beyond TB makes the heat gained greater than the loss, and this causes an unstable and thus more heat is accumulated unstable condition, and thus more heat is accumulated in the dielectric resulting in complete breakdown in insulation. Let us go back to the diagram once again. At point C, where temperature is TA, and also at some other point where the temperature is TB, you see heat gained and heat loss, they are equal to each other. Within the region C to this point, you see the heat lost is higher than the heat gained by the dielectric material. But beyond this point, heat gain is greater than the heat lost curve. Therefore, beyond the point temperature TB, since the gain in heat is much higher or higher than the loss of heat, an unstable condition is reached and there is a chance of failure of the complete failure of the dielectric material. Is the point clear?
Yes, sir.
For the second curve, this curve, heat gained is always higher than the heat loss curve. Heat gain curve for stress F2 lies always above the straight line and breakdown will always occur. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then. Now the thermal breakdown process can be explained by the following equation: CVD capital T by small dt, which is heat accumulated, plus divergence K grad T heat conducted away, that is equal to sigma F square, which is total heat imported. Now the right hand term sigma F square, where sigma is the electrical conductivity and F is the potential gradient, is responsible for the generation of heat. Now, how it is explained is this: Cv is the specific heat of the material at constant volume. Obviously, when we are talking about any dielectric material being used in a system or in any equipment, the volume of it will be constant, and Cv is the specific heat, and ddt of capital T, rate of change of temperature with time, and K is the thermal conductivity, and therefore Cv ddt of capital T is equal to heat accumulated per unit time. That is the heat accumulated, and divergence of capital K gradient of T is the heat conducted away per unit time. This equation can be explained qualitatively by the following curves. You see, again, there are three curves. This is at a particular temperature and field strength F1, and corresponding temperature is T1. The second curve is drawn or plotted for a field of Fm, and the temperature is Tm. Here, this is the time axis, x-axis is for time and y-axis is for temperature. This curve is for field F2, and this is another curve. For You can assume that for this curve, the field is F3. Now, you see, as it is mentioned over here, at a field F1, temperature T1 is reached much slowly. The time taken by the curve to reach at a temperature T1 is taking place with a much slow rate. And if we assume this is the critical temperature, therefore it can be mentioned from the diagram. Just a minute. হ্যাঁ শ্যামল, আমি একটা ক্লাসে আছি, আমি একটু ক্লাসটা নিয়ে ফোন করি। হ্যালো, হ্যালো, হ্যাঁ আমি ক্লাসটা নিয়ে তোমায় ফোন করছি। সময় লাগবে, একটু সময় লাগবে, মানে ধরো যাবো 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 এবং সমিতিটাও খুলবো কিছুক্ষণের জন্য। চলে এসো, আমি তোমায় ফোনটা করতাম, ক্লাস নিয়ে ফোনটা করতাম। ঠিক আছে। So for a stress F1, you see the time taken for reaching the critical temperature is quite long, and for all practical purpose it can be said that with this field strength F1, critical temperature will not be reached at all. Therefore, no breakdown can occur with this field strength. Now, with rise in stress to Fm, the temperature rises slowly and attains the critical value Tm, and stable condition is reached. From the nature of the curve, the possibility of exceeding the critical temperature with this field strength is very rare. That is why a stable condition will be reached and the dielectric will not fail thermally, and it will operate in a stable condition. And that is why, and the stable condition is reached where breakdown may take place few months or few years after. Further rise in stress increases the temperature in a finite time, but slowly, such that ddt of capital T is 0, and as the rate of rise of temperature is neglected, being very small, equation reduces to this. So we have two terms. So if here analytically these are the two terms. So if you neglect this rate of change of temperature with per unit time, uh, ddt of capital T, then if you make it 0, consider it 0, then the equation becomes divergence k of gradient T is equal to sigma f square. That is why what is mentioned over here, and the equation reduces to this one. C dVdt is equal to sigma f square. Now, with further, the thermal breakdown process of any insulator cannot be, yes, thermal insulator breakdown process of any insulator cannot be inhibited by increasing the thickness of the insulation. That is one very important point. For a finite thermal conductivity K of the material of a material, the heat developed at the inner section of a material cannot come out and dissipate in the outer atmosphere. Thicker the material, less is the heat dissipated in inner surface. Is the point clear? Is this point clear? Why thermal breakdown process of any insulator cannot be inhibited by increasing the thickness of insulation?
Yes, sir.
The voltage to which the dielectric can be subjected is termed as thermal voltage limit, and for commercially available insulation the limit is of the order of 400 kV. It's quite high. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, with this we conclude our discussions today. Now we have two more chapters left which we have to discuss. One is partial discharge, that we shall discuss in the next class, and another is the breakdown of liquid dielectrics. That is a small chapter. Usually I do not discuss it in class. I send the students the note, they study, and if they ask me any questions for doubt clearance, etc., classes are held. So should I follow the same practice, or you want it to be discussed thoroughly or in a formal class? That is up to you. You tell me what can be done. Somebody should respond. What is your idea?
So we can follow the same thing only.
Okay, so in but at least one class is required, and that is for discussion in partial discharge. Uh, when can we have the class? Day after tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Saturday?
Yes, I did.
Saturday, what time? Morning or huh?
Sir, evening,
Evening? What time?
7.
7 or 7:30?
Okay, sir.
It will be 1 hour class. Okay then. Now let me check how many of you are still here.